Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm TeeHee, and I'm here to report to you after day 6 of the summer 2019 seasonal treasure hunt. Guess we've kind of been going like every other day. Like day 1, there really wasn't anything. Day 2, there were a bunch of shows. Day 3, there was not really much. Day 4, a bunch of shows. Day 5, not much. Actually, nothing yesterday. Day 6, Sunday, a bunch of shows. So today we had 3 shows air. I'm pretty sure that's all that's going to air today. I saw that there were a couple more listed on Mal and other places, but those seem wrong because they haven't come out on Ya or anywhere else. So I'm just going to go with the 3 that I've got, and hopefully that's not bad. So let's go in the order that I watched these. The first show that I watched this morning, because Vinland Saga hadn't aired yet, was Nakanohito Genome, or like those within Genome. In any case, this is a Silver Link show. They just did Aochan and Kenja no Mago, and it's directed by Shinonuma, the guy who did Bakuto Test, F: A Tale of Memories, Death March, Rakudai Kishi no Cavalry, and a bunch more stuff. It's based off of a web manga, and what I came away with was the feeling that if I had seen Danganronpa or Danganronpa, whatever it is, Danganronpa or Ass Class or any of those other like bunch of high school age kids in a death game things, usually with an oddly like animal teacher or leader creature, which no different here. We've got an alpaca / llama thing named Paka, who is their instructor guy. I got the feeling that if I had seen any of those, I would be going, oh, this is just a ripoff of that. But I haven't seen any of those, so I don't really know for sure. But this is very much one of those. What we've got as far as premise is there are a bunch of people who are all apparently relatively famous streamers who stream different kinds of games. So the main character guy is all about escape games, or like escape the room puzzle games. The first girl that we meet, who is probably main girl, is all about horror games. So all of these streamer people have been just like gathered up and taken to this place. There's some weird stuff going on in the place, but it's a place, and they've got these things embedded in their arms that display their current like view count, their live view count, and the goal is to get to 100 million concurrent viewers, I think, or just 100 million views total. I guess the first one to get there no. It's not that the first one wins. It's that everyone has to get to 100 million or you don't leave. Like, you just die. And I'm not sure what the time frame is for this, because the Paka guy makes mention of some dude who like tried, I don't even remember. He got locked into a prison cell basically because he refused to do something that was part of the game. And just like rotted into a corpse there. So this weird death game situation live stream thing that they're doing has been going on for a while. There have been many incarnations of it. They're just the newest batch of people competing. It's very Hunger Games, very it's in that vein of stuff. Publicized Battle Royale-esque death game. As far as I can tell, none of them have any incentive to compete against each other directly, at least not yet. They have every incentive to work together and overcome the games that they're forced to play as they go. I was thinking going in that this would be like a reverse isekai, like the death game comes out of the computer to you. It's not quite that. It's like they grabbed all these people from wherever they live in normal place and took them to not normal place. And in this not normal place, the first thing that they come across, which is apparently the first game, they just like wake up in a forest and there's a gigantic panda walking on 2 legs. And there's no like explanation of how this exists, but it's like a 6-story tall panda walking on its hind legs just cuz. Yeah. Yeah. And then the main character and the panda bond over having hay fever. It's weird. It's weird. Generally, I didn't hate this episode. It was fine. It never got any hooks in me. It never made me really care. I feel like I have seen the character design of main girl. I feel like I've seen her elsewhere. I just don't know where. It's weird. This first episode was a strange one. this show is not going to be exceptional. It doesn't look like it's going to be a knockout home run super duper mega hit. It also doesn't look like it's going to be terrible. I neither love nor hate the general aesthetic and design sensibility of the show. It's not great, but it's also not eye bleed inducing. So it's fine. The show's fine. It's gonna be a fine short death game thing. Characters like forced into playing new games every episode and overcoming obstacles. Otherwise, bad stuff happens to them. If that's up your alley, this is probably up your alley. For me, it just doesn't seem like it's worth the time. It's okay, but it's not great. And that's my take on Nakanohito Genome. It exists and you can watch it. All right, so the second thing that I watched, because I finished up the reaction to Nakanohito Genome, and then of course I F5 Nya, and hey, look, Vinland Saga. At first I only had episode 1, so I started off just recording episode 1, and then when I finished episode 1, I F5 Nya, and I was like, oh look, episode 2 and 3, let's record them all. So I recorded all 3 episodes of Vinland Saga that have aired thus far. They were pretty good. It's solid. It delivered. It did the thing. What do I think about it? I don't know yet. I don't know. We start off with a pretty slow burn, but a really intriguing setting and setup. I'm coming to really like the show's sensibilities and the way that it's going through this section, which feels like prologue. I've seen images of the main character sort of more grown up, and I believe that most of the plot is going to happen in that time frame. So all of this serves as sort of setup and prologue. At least that's how I'm approaching it. They made a choice to start the first episode with a flashback battle because at least I think, because the rest of these 3 episodes would be mostly just character stuff and story stuff, which is good. It's great. But there's almost no combat or action or any chance to show off. So I think that was a good decision. And from what I've heard, just in terms of murmurings on Discords, it seems like that stuff wasn't in the manga. That was an adaptation choice. And if that's the case, then I think I support that choice. Because what it allowed them to do was do a big bombastic battle. A lot of cuts of which were apparently parts of the PVs, which I kind of avoided watching. But big bombastic battle. Striking things about it, I love when the characters are drawn in 2D. I really do. I think they look great. I think the character designs are really solid. I haven't seen a lot of the manga art, so I don't know how good an incarnation / adaptation of those characters they are, but they're pretty cool. I think the biggest, most main guy that we know so far is Thors, who is the main character's father. And he's a badass. Let's just put it that way. He's a freaking badass. He's the centerpiece of the big battle scene that opens the first episode. And so far, he's the emotional core of the show. We're mostly seeing it from his son's perspective, I think, with a bit of omniscient perspective mixed in. But this is so far Thor's story and less Thorfinn's story. So, things to talk about. CG. This is the first and biggest thing to talk about, and I think it's important to address this because of the director and the director's history. The director here is Shuhei Yabuta? Yabuta? I don't know. He's been working with Wit Studio for a while, and he's been mostly a CG director. I think the first thing that he directed, full stop, was, what's it called? I just had it in my brain. The one where the Netflix show where they turn into mechs or like human robot gods. Inuyashiki. Yeah. But I think that was his first time in the director's chair itself. But he has been 3D and CG director on a whole lot of projects, especially with Studios projects. He was on Kabaneri, which had fantastic CG and even more than that, fantastic blending. He was the CG director on seasons 1 and 2 of Shingeki no Kyojin, or Attack on Titan. and the 3D director for Aka and No Game No Life. So the guy is experienced with CG, so it's no surprise at all whatsoever that he would choose to use a tool with which he's experienced for certain complicated shots. And he does, and they're okay. They're technically impressive, but sometimes the switches between CG and 2D are a little bit jarring. Both look really good on their own. Like, the CG that they're using is really solid. The shaders that they're using are nice, and the models that they've got are good. And his experience with using dynamic camera and such digital tools definitely shows through. I just prefer 2D. Like, I always prefer hand-drawn stuff, and I think that when the characters are animated in 2D in this show, they look awesome. I mean, really, they look fantastic. But I think a note has to be said for the hybrid animation portions, where you've got multiple types of animation overlaid over each other or working together in tandem. So one example, and something you'll see in a lot of shows all over the place, it's become really common practice, is digital stage or backgrounds, and then 2D characters. So with camera synced up so that it feels like 3D dynamic camera with 2D characters. You've seen this many times before. You've seen it in characters running down hallways. You've seen it in big action scenes in Shield Hero. Used all the time. It's used to great effect and exceptionally well here. It looks really good. There are a couple of cuts where we like zoom and pan around Thor's as he's like running between ships or chopping through groups of baddies, and it's dynamic. It's awesome. It looks great, but it's obvious that it is CG and 2D blended together, but with a deft touch. Story, plot, stuff like that. As I said, we're starting off with a really slow burn, but it feels solid. It feels like this is a well-planned out story, and we're getting the prologue for it, the introduction. It feels like there have been a number of characters introduced with very, very little screen time, but I already feel like I know that they're going to play major roles in the story. The show is good. The show is good. Oh, and the OP, shocker for me. I didn't expect this. I try to avoid info on shows going in. The OP is by Survive Said the Prophet, who did some of the music for Banana Fish, and I like it. It's hype. Giving up everything. The opening theme for this first episode for this show is awesome. You should go and watch it. The whole thing. All 3 episodes. Is good. Is probably worth watching. Watch it. The one question that I have is, I haven't read the manga at all. But what I know about the manga is that it is held up on quite a pedestal. It is held up very high, alongside the likes of Berserk as one of the greatest manga ever written, ever drawn. So I'm curious to know from those people who have read the manga and are looking at this as an adaptation of a work that they love, what do you think of it as an adaptation? Do you think that the art and characters do justice to what's in the manga? Do you think that the changes, if there have been changes made to the way that the story is being laid out, are good and useful and help further the plot or help new viewers understand the plot? Just generally, I'd be really interested in knowing the thoughts of anybody who has read the manga and is now going into this adaptation as something that they've been looking forward to. What do you think of it? Do you think it fell short? Do you think it blew you away? Is it just what you were expecting? Or is it better? I don't know. But I'm probably going to keep watching this show. It's pretty good and pretty hype. We haven't gotten to like hype stuff happening. It's been a slow burn. So we'll see. But I have the feeling that things are brewing and they will bubble over soon. Real soon. Like next episode soon. But I think we've got a couple of weeks until we actually get to next episode, so we'll have to wait to see. In any case, those are my thoughts on Vinland Saga. That was the second thing I watched. It was awesome. Your mileage may vary depending on your personal preferences in terms of what you want to see animated and how you want to see it animated. But if you can if you're not bothered by the swaps between CG and 2D, and they don't happen that often in the show, then it'll be fine and really good, and potentially a contender for AOTS. Yeah. Yeah, all right. So, the final thing that I watched today, besides Hibike Euphonium, which is scheduled, the final thing for treasure hunting that I watched today was Restage Dream Days. I went into this with, like, my preemptive cringe face on. This is a show about middle school idols. So, like, what more do I need to say? They're middle schoolers, so they're tiny, and they're lollies, and they're cute, and they're idols, or they want to be. So they sing and they dance and stuff. The premise thing is there's this competition called like Prism Stars, and then there's this girl who is main girl, and her sister was the winner or the leader of the group that won the previous Prism Stars. Okay, so she's got a lineage, and she goes and she's required to join a school club. So she goes around to all the clubs and she's like, no, nah. And then she gets into this one weird club, and it's the, what was the name of it? It's like Literacy and Dance Club. Okay? It's a club for training to become idols. That's what everybody in the club wants to do. And they don't have enough members, so they try to like pull her in, and it doesn't really work. And then it works. And then one of the other girls in the club is like, okay, we're going to show you what we do. And so she does this little dance, and it's surprisingly well animated. It looks pretty good, and it's all 2D, and it's like, oh, hey, that's kind of nice. And she does this little dance thing, and that's pretty cool. And then they do the dance together, and we find out that main girl has a superpower where she can like, I think the exact quote is, I'll edit it in, but it's like, when I'm with someone else, my body and my voice just move on their own and sync with them perfectly. Like, she has a super idol power that makes her the best idol ever because she just has to sync up with whoever she's singing and dancing with. And then they do a dance together, and it's pretty cute. Is it good? Nah. Is it bad? It's middle school idols. It seems to me like a bog standard idol show with pretty cute little middle school girls. They're just a little bit moe. I made it through the whole episode, so there's that. Also, I know some people who I know some garbage goblins who would love this, where this is their exact kind of treasure. Not mine. Not mine. Music's nice. The actual aesthetic and character designs I think are rather cute. We've only met a couple of the girls, and there are like 6 or 7 that we're going to meet eventually. I think they're pretty cute. I like their hair designs. And I was really genuinely surprised by the quality of the animation during the 2D dance sequences, because they were fully synchronized 2D dance sequences, multiple character models doing the same thing at the same time. That's kind of impressive, just a little bit. Most of the show is very shot, reverse shot, or panning shots, and very flat. This show is not inspired. Like, not awesome, but it's not bad either. If you're looking for something to watch that's kind of cute and meh, this is a thing. It exists, and you can watch it. Glowing recommendations. But yeah, I did not hate this. It was kind of cute. Okay. So, I think those are all 3 shows that I watched today. Naka no Hito Genome, Restage Dream Days, and Vinland Saga. Of the 3, I think Vinland Saga is the only clear winner. Naka no Hito Genome was maybe a step above average. If it goes darker and more psychological and gets a little bit edgier, I think it could be an enjoyable romp, but it's a death game. It's not super. And then Restage Dream Days is just like, okay. Meh. Vinland Saga, however, that's a winner. That's a winner, to nobody's surprise. So, that's my take on the shows I watched today. I hope you liked it. I'll catch you tomorrow with whatever airs tomorrow. Cool? Cool. Peace.